Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome to this free little mini course of energetic boundaries and fragmentation. So we will be covering why boundaries are so important, how having strong energetic boundaries affects your life versus how having weak energetic boundaries affects your life. Now, it's not all just about energetic boundaries. It is about normal boundaries as well, because they do coincide with each other. You have to have both if you are doing any type of energy work, really anything. If you want to be strong in yourself, boundaries are extremely important. So boundaries are the internal energy, your body's internal energetic sensor that notifies the body that there's danger. It is, in its simplest form, it's no. No, I'm not willing to go to that party. No, I don't want to go out with you. No, to even down to business. If someone doesn't resonate with you and you're like, and they want to do a partnership, it's straight up, even if you're going to hurt that person or ruin a friendship, you still have to be strong in yourself and keep to that no. So being able to stand strong in what you actually feel inside. This is extremely important, both energetically and physically. Giving when and what you want when you want to. So you have to be happy with that decision. And my aunt always tells me, she always says to me, if I don't want to, I won't. And she's very strong in that. And so it's kind of something that over time, it's like, you know what? Yeah. And so when I speak with her, and if I need something or anything, it's just, if she says I'm willing to do it, then I don't have to be like, are you sure? Is this too much to ask? I automatically know her boundary is, if she does not want to, she won't. And so if she did not want to, she would tell me no. And so that is something that I have taken. And I'm like, okay, when it comes to clients, when it comes to my relationship, when it comes to my child, like in every aspect, now I know my boundaries. I'm like, hey, no. Or if I'm okay with it, sure. But I don't go against myself. So it's also feeling confident enough to stand up for yourself. So don't feel that peer pressure. You know, when you're in, what is it, grade 6, and you do DARE, I think it's that DARE program. And they're like, don't feel the peer pressure to drugs. And you need to, be confident in yourself, and you need to walk away. Well, it's the same thing, except we're not in a school environment, most of us anymore, or at least my generation. And so it's like you hit a point where you're confident in what you choose. And if someone's trying to pressure you into doing something bad or doing drugs, and you really don't want to, even if it's for a spiritual reason, you can stand up for yourself and say no, and then find a way out of there. So really, those things that we've been taught as children do really strongly impact our lives today, because it's like, where are your boundaries? Are you okay with doing it? Are you not okay with doing it? So growing up, you may have been taught to share the toy you had, even if you really didn't want to. Okay. So doing what you were told by a teacher or a parent, even though it didn't feel right. Now this could be a truck. I don't know why a truck, but I always think of a truck. A little kid at the playground, you have your truck and you're like, no, I don't want to share it. It's my truck. I brought it. It's my toy. And you get told by your parent or a teacher, if you're at school, no, you need to share with your friend, or you need to share with this little boy because it's his turn to play with it. These are programmings put in place by authority figures, most likely unconsciously, because it was what they were taught to do. The downfall of these type of situations is that they programmed our brains as young children to sacrifice ourselves for the betterment of others. So we have been programmed each generation to give more than what we receive. Programmed to believe what you want isn't important as long as those around you are happy and their needs are being met. Now, if you think of this little boy with a truck, or little girls with the trucks, this child with a truck, and you're like, and they don't want to, but the parent or the teacher's like, no, you need to share. Or a crayon, or something where it's like, no, you've had your turn with it, it's time to share. Or if it's something you really cherish and they're like, yes, you played with it, but you know what, you're going to get it back, so you need to share right now, and then you can have it back. Even though deep inside you're like, but I really don't want to, like, that's my truck, that's my crayon, like, I don't want to, but you do it. So you, right then and there, you're going against yourself because you have to listen to your authority figures. Now you've gone against yourself and you've given over your truck or your crayon, and that child is happy because they got what they wanted. So now you're programmed to believe that, oh, okay, I have to please this person. And then we get a generation of people pleasers because we have been programmed to do what everybody else wants, whether it be that adult or whether it be the teacher or some, like a coworker, or that a child. Like, you now have to do what you never wanted to because you have to listen. So having weak boundaries, how having weak boundaries may affect your life. So in the spiritual sense, having weak boundaries is detrimental. But if you look through your life, you may find similar patterns throughout all that stem from the same programming. Spiritually, you may notice a drain on your energy field showing up in exhaustion or irritability, or if you're very sensitive, you may notice like an instant shift in your energy and you're like, oh, something's not right. I'm hooked into something, or someone's hooking into me. So you can even get this around people, places, events. So if you find like you are really stuck to a specific event, your energy is, you yourself have hooked a cord into that event. So you're now draining your energy into it, and you're slowly feeling more and more crappy. So very common drains are around jobs. I hear that so often. If you're unhappy in it, so often. And sometimes it can be the people you work with. They're toxic and you don't get along with them. And you're like, okay, I have to stay because I still need a paycheck. I still have to feed my family. I still have to do this. I still gotta do this. So you stay. Another one could be around money. So if you're getting paid lower than what you know that you are worth, which is most jobs, unless you own your own business, then you're gonna feel very energetically drained and you're gonna feel crappy. So the same can happen in relationships. If you know I can't talk today, I apologize. If you are in an unhappy relationship, but you go against yourself and stay in it, this is you saying your boundaries within yourself don't matter. Same with that job. Your boundaries don't matter. You don't matter. You are there at that job to please somebody else, to please your boss, to give all that you have. And in reality, so many bosses and companies, they expect all that you have. even though they don't say it, I expect you to be flexible. You need to come at these hours. I don't care if it doesn't work for you, figure out childcare. Like, there's a high expectation, and you're required to meet that. Even if you're like, but I don't want to give all of myself all the time. Like, I want to have a balance. There's no balance. So it can be the same in a relationship, especially if you have a narcissistic partner or someone that is, what do we call them, an energetic vampire. You will find that you just drain. And when you don't have boundaries to say, no, that doesn't work for me, you will just, get that feeling and just feel like crap all the time, because you're going against yourself. Whether it feels like a small thing or a large thing, you're still going against yourself. That truck, that with that little boy having to share his truck, it's still him going against yourself, even though it's like this little tiny blip in his entire life. That right there just sent a trigger to a cycle. It sent a cycle, a pattern that will continuously be redone over and over. And now that little thing, which could have been the smallest thing, just blew up. It got so big because it affected every decision you've ever made in your life, even though it's unconscious. So if you are a healer of some kind and you work in a field that is very demanding, you may find people messaging you of all hours of the day and night, which I am a healer. It's true. It happens all the time. And did you know that every text message, email, phone call, and even being on social media apps open an individual up energetically to absorb that energy? So if you have a client, say like you start, where a lot of people start with Reiki. I always recommend people start with Reiki just because it kind of gives people a foundation and teaches them to work with more energies than just themselves. Some people have other gifts and they don't need to, but for those starting out and want to learn it, I recommend that, because then they can start feeling more and open themselves up to more. So I'm gonna have to go get water. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go get water soon. My little sidetrack thoughts. So when you say you're like new and you have 4 clients that you started seeing, and they're like, you have one that is like, well, you should just work on me for free because you need the practice and you're new at it. And you're like, but I don't want to. But and you don't want to, but you're like, oh yeah, you're right. I can definitely see where you're coming from. That's a good idea. Probably I should. Even though it doesn't feel good, then you do it. Then you feel worse because you did it. And you're like, I really wish I would have gotten paid for that. That was more work than I realized. Like, wow, that alone is you not having strong boundaries in yourself, understandably, because you said no, or sorry, you're a new person, you're new at it, and you didn't say no. So you've now just allowed that person, gave that person a free session. But here's the kicker, you technically didn't. Yeah. So with energy work, there has to be an equal and energetic exchange of some kind. It doesn't always have to be money. Okay, there has to be an equal energetic exchange. Otherwise, you will feel depleted, you will feel like crap, and it is not going to be fun for you. So when you gave that person a session, you started resenting that person, even though you're the one that said, fine, yeah, okay, I'll do it. You're now resenting that person and sending negative energy to that person, probably unconsciously, but that is exactly what you're doing. And then when you are doing healing work, you have to put down strong boundaries. So if you are working with clients in any types of field, know and understand that you have to set energetic boundaries. It is a must. You set your hours for a specific time, and you find you have someone messaging you or calling you constantly after you've clocked out, you need to tell them that you will talk to them when you are open again, because you need downtime. You have to have downtime to balance back out, because especially when you're doing energy work, it can be very draining, especially if you get somebody that is insanely heavy and they have entity attachments, they've got cord attachments and to other people's energy and other people draining them. Now you have to deal with that. They've got just blocks out the ass, and you're just like, holy crap, that was a lot of work. You need your downtime. You have to ground, and you have to take that time to recoup and clear their energy off. Otherwise, you will become bombarded and weighed down. So doing energy work is a must for strong boundaries, period. When you do have somebody messaging you, and even I've had clients message me while I'm doing other sessions. Okay. So if I'm doing like a one-to-one session, or even doing classes or groups, I've had people sit there and message me consistently. And I've had to say, no, enough. You can't keep messaging me, or I have to turn my phone off. So you get to set your own guidelines on what your boundaries are. So due to social conditioning and the way people are raised, some may have strong boundaries and others may not. Every person holds their own specific set of boundaries. Even different energy workers have different boundaries. Hold on, guys. I need water. I'll be right back. Okay, I got water. Okay, so back to where I was. Every person holds their own specific set of boundary. Even different energy workers have different boundaries. Now, it may not sound like an absolute horrible thing to have someone breaking these boundaries at first. Energetically, though, it is. Because people unconsciously can attach cords. My cat is staring at me through my window. People can unconsciously attach cords into you, and then this feeds into your energy. And by the next day, so it's like it's draining you. By the next day, you may feel like you have no energy, and you're like, why? I've done this meditative work. I've done all my stuff. Why do I still feel like crap? And you can get like flu-like symptoms and all kinds of symptoms where you're just like, I just don't want to get out of bed. And then you realize that, or what you might not realize is that they have attached cords into you, which if you've been doing this for a while, you know that's something to check. After watching this, that it is something to check. So getting angry over this does not solve anything. As you step more into the light, you will become more successful and learn more if you have compassion and understanding. Know that they are hurting or feeling how they feel. You do not have to take it on, just have awareness. So I almost had something important. You can set boundaries different ways, okay, in different ways. Now, one thing you can do if you don't want to say, like if you're starting out, but you're like, oh, but I kind of need the clients or something, and you're just like, I don't know how to stand up for myself yet. One thing you can do, put your phone on airplane mode. Nothing comes through. And then when you're like if you need your phone at night, I don't know if your alarm works during airplane mode. I haven't tried it, but that is something that you can do. And even energetically, ask your guides to put like protection over you that's in a shield that stops other people from attaching into you, for one, and sending energy your way. Because even if you're not always consciously aware of what they're sending, if you're very sensitive, your being is picking that up and knows. So empaths and starseeds generally gravitate to careers that help others, such as counselors, healthcare workers, like doctors, all that kind of stuff. Like they want to help people. What they don't realize, some may, is that as you work in these fields, you absorb others' pain, which can be physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual. They invest themselves because they want to help, but what they fail to do is set strong energetic boundaries. So I was in healthcare at one point, and this is where actually I learned how to set most of my boundaries, because I was always drained. I felt like crap. I'd come home exhausted, even if it was a generally easy day, for years. And it was just like, holy. And one thing I had to learn was, first of all, dead people are annoying as hell. Dead people. Oh, yeah, I don't deal with dead people anymore. But the one thing I had to learn was I picked up on the dead, and I also picked up on the living. So being in healthcare for me was not good. Didn't matter how strong of boundaries I put down. It wasn't until later on, just before I left, where I was like, no, I'm done giving. I got nothing else to give. And what would happen is, just because I'm naturally a healer, even before I went and got my Reiki and all the other stuff that I've done, before that, I'm naturally a healer. So I would go in and then I'd leave drained, because I'm just by work, like just by being around them and doing, like getting them dressed, doing stuff that I used to do, I would drain myself because I'm healing them. And so it was great for them, because they were getting healing all the time when I was there, and it eased the suffering a bit. And I've had the dead tell me that they're grateful for that, because I was there and I helped ease it. But it was awful for me because I didn't have strong enough boundaries to say, you know what, no, I have to stay in my energy. And it didn't seem to matter how much protection I did, how much shielding, how much zipping up my energy, every practice that I could find to protect myself, it didn't matter, because I didn't have strong enough boundaries to say, no, this is not okay. It wasn't until the end where I was like, no, it's really not okay. I deserve to keep my energy, and I help those when they come to me, but I can't just give everything I have, because it affects my home life, it affects my work there, it affects me energetically, so that I didn't have the what is the word I'm looking for? The space in my energy field to hold, to support others. When I would get clients coming to me, it was when I left versus now, when I first left to now, I can hold a lot more energy and help a lot more people, because I don't have this huge drain on my energy, but I've also learned strong boundaries. So even with my clients, I have strong boundaries. That's my little ramble. So signs of healthy boundaries: you can say no without guilt. And I find guilt is a very heavy one that people struggle with. Saying yes because you want to and not because you feel obligated to. And feeling safe to express different emotions and have disagreements. So if you have somebody that, or even could be like a group of people where you're just like, I don't even want them seeing me because I just feel so guilty every time I'm around them. and I feel, and they're invasive and they want me to answer their questions, and like it's their business, but I just don't want to. When you can be like, you know what, it's my life, my business, not yours, butt out. Then you can say you have strong boundaries. I love water. Taking responsibility for your own emotions, thoughts, and happiness. Being in tune with your own energy. And this is extremely important when you put down boundaries, because you should instantly feel when you've crossed your own boundaries and when you're standing strong in it, because you will feel very good. And you will feel strong, and you will like be vibrating in your own decision. You will feel so good that you did it, even though you might have hurt somebody else in the sense of you just didn't do what they want. So now they're kind of trying to guilt you for it, but you don't care. And you're just like, oh yeah, I'm glad I made that choice. It feels good. There's a huge difference, and there's a huge energetic difference. And you'll be able to expand your energy field, especially more so if you're interested in doing healing work. You will really be able to expand your energy field and support more people just because you're putting down strong boundaries. I'm trying to think of, before we move on to the next little bit, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to cover. When it comes to clients, if you're doing some type of energy work, when it comes to clients, you need to make sure, like, not stress this enough, make sure you feel good. Make sure you feel good on your pricing. If you're giving it away for half off constantly because you're scared that people won't come to you at your full price, then they're not your clients. They're not the clients for you. If they are, they will pay your full price and they won't say anything about it. They won't complain because it's not theirs. If they don't like it, they can go find somebody else. It's not your obligation to please everybody. I think that was kind of all I wanted to add. Okay, moving on to energy fragmentation. Okay, so when I first channeled this through, which we'll get into, a spirit did not call it energy fragmentation. That's just kind of for this. But they called it soul and time fragmentation. And so this is kind of a topic that many other, as I've come across more and more spiritual people that do the work that I do, they call it different things. This is just how I channeled it through the spirit. And I've kind of loved it. So this is how I work with it. So energy fragmentation is when you experience good and bad situations and leave behind pieces of your energy, which is very common, happens all the time. Nothing to fear. This can result in you plugging into situations and having your energy drained. Energy fragmentation can result from past life connections as well. So through your lifetime, you create connections and attachments just as you do in this lifetime. But here's the kicker. Time is man-made. And I love that. Time is man-made. So each lifetime is happening at the same time, if you really think about it, because time does not exist, but you still have pieces of you out there. And so when, say, a toxic situation happens, and again, we go back to you're constantly thinking about it and you're feeling so many heavy emotions over it, and you're just like, wow, like I can't get it out of my head. You guarantee you've not only hooked into it, but you left a piece of your energy there. So you need to call your energy back. So this happens with past lives as well. When I've had people ask, why is past life work so important? Like, why can't you just work on the trauma of this lifetime? Well, if you really think about it, if your soul, okay, is living through, say there's 6 lifetimes, okay, that have been excessively traumatic, you are going to relive that trauma again in this lifetime. You're going to, or similar to it, because there will be a pattern and you are going to continue. So it's like, why not just focus on this lifetime? Because in order to completely heal this lifetime and all the past trauma that you've gone through, even in your childhood, you need to look into what is all affecting you in order to heal. Because once you can heal those ties, your whole being shifts, and then you can be stronger, and that cycle breaks. So as you live these other lives, which can be a difficult concept to understand, you leave pieces of your soul in these lifetimes. So when you begin to heal them, you are reconnecting parts of yourself. Due to the whole time being that made thing, if you think about it, future timelines as well as past, like and future events are shiftable. Everything's shiftable. So the trauma that you have signed a contract to go through in the future, by accessing it through your timeline, you can heal and shift so that you can learn the lessons sooner and break the continued cycle. You are more than capable of being set free, which is exhilarating. Think of it, freedom. So this is how Spirit explained soul fragmentation to me. So imagine you have, again, 6 lifetimes with a significant amount of trauma. Now imagine each each lifetime is a bubble, therefore a door, I forgot to fix that, to either access or you can look through as a looking glass to begin, right? Your bubble. Okay, you either have the choice to watch or experience. Whichever you choose, you can first heal the lifetime, then if needed, come out and ask Spirit to assist you in merging the bubbles into your now bubble, so this lifetime, in order to merge your soul pieces scattered throughout. So as you do this healing work, you're re-merging your soul back into you and making yourself whole again. Whether, and it, because time doesn't exist, okay, here's where it gets so complicated and it's confusing. But if you think about it, your soul is in those lifetimes still have to play out. So the more you merge your soul is still living that time inside of yourself. So you're reconnecting your soul and it's whole in that lifetime. And then when you merge, continue to merge, you just are healing all of that trauma, but you're also healing those lifetimes that are still going on. And you're making your soul person in that lifetime whole too. So it's just complicated. So now knowing what soul fragmentation is, which is pieces of your soul scattered throughout time due to trauma and other versions of yourself all living the same time, just a different time period. You know how time does not exist in the eyes of the universe. So when it comes to timeline work, manifestation, healing, and much more, your whole being is going through huge shifts the more you work on yourself. So say you're not very spiritually open in 3 lifetimes ago, okay? And maybe you're a little, like it's a little bit like, say you see dead people and you do a little bit of mediumship work, but you're not doing the healing work, okay? When you focus on, it's now you're in this lifetime and your focus on this lifetime is to heal yourself, you're still healing you in that lifetime. So when working on past lives and future lives, you are healing the trauma that your soul holds onto. And if you want, you can shift even in the future, because past right now is your present. Basically, present's the only thing that really exists. The past is the past, but the future doesn't exist yet. But you still sign contracts for the future. So you can, and say you're signing the contract to go through a significant amount of pain, then you can heal that event. And then if something, when that thing, that trigger comes up, you've dealt with it in your present, the pain of it. So now if that something comes up, it's not painful. It just, you can, it's just like another test. And that's all you'll see it as. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just like a test. It's fine. Oh, I guess that was the end of my little course. So let me put this back to, there we go. So, moral of it all, it's like a cycle that keeps going, but you can heal and no longer have those triggers, and you can put down the boundaries. So when you do your healing work, you're putting down stronger boundaries, and you can merge and manifest and do so much more to make your life better. I think that is all I wanted to cover. So if you enjoyed this course, I ask that you please share, like it, share it with your friends, subscribe down below for more. I really enjoy teaching, so I'm going to probably doing a bit more of that, as that is really my sole purpose. So please like, subscribe, and share my videos to help me get into YouTube's algorithm so I can reach more people. I would really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.